Today, we are going to take our understanding and knowledge of decimals one step further to compare decimals. So again, I would recommend as you read each of these problems today, and you're going to hear Mrs. Body modeling this, but I want you to kind of relate this to money. I think it'll make it a lot easier for you as you compare decimals. Let's look at the first problem. A penny made in 1982 weighs about, and I see this decimal here, and I'm going to read this for you, 11 hundredths of an ounce. A penny made in 2013 weighs about, and I see another decimal. It's not in the tenths place, it's in the hundredths place, so this would be 9 hundredths of an ounce. The question is, which penny weighs more? Solve this problem any way you choose. So we have 11 hundredths of an ounce, and then if I were going to write that as an inequality, with a circle trying to remember, is it less than, greater than, or equal to? And then we have 9 hundredths of an ounce. So again, when I tell you guys to think of money, you can think of this as like, how much money would you have in your pocket? Well, you'd have 11 pennies right here, 11 hundredths. And right here, you would have 9 pennies, or 9 hundredths. So this amount right here is obviously going to be greater than. So we would read this, 11 hundredths is greater than 9 hundredths. Let's look at this example on the bottom here. Simon and Danielle are eating oranges. Danielle says, because we each have 75 hundredths of an orange left, we have the same amount left to eat. Do you agree with Danielle? Explain. This question is kind of weird to me. It's kind of tricky. But basically we would say no, because you must compare the same whole. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, let's say here's Danielle's orange, right? And it's this big. And she has 75 hundredths left to eat. So she has this much left, right? And then let's say that this is Simon's orange, right? He's just got one of those little cuties. And he has 75 hundredths. Well, clearly you can see that when you're not comparing the same whole figures, then the amount that they have left to eat could possibly be different. Let's take a look at another example. I like these because we're talking about a race. So we're going to see why in just a moment. Donovan ran the 100-meter race in 10 and 11 hundredths seconds. So there's Donovan's time on the stopwatch, right? We'd read it 10 and 11 hundredths seconds. Sal ran the same race in 10 and 9 hundredths seconds. Who had the faster time? So students, I think, are just so trained to look for the bigger number, right, that we would just automatically say Donovan. Right, because we're comparing 10 and 11 hundredths to 10 and 9 hundredths. So if we were going to relate that to money, we would think of $10 and then 11 cents, or $10.09. We can't compare these numbers because they're both the same. So now we're just going to the decimals. Is 11 hundredths greater or less than 9 hundredths? However, here's the tricky part. We're talking about a race, so we want the smaller amount, right? Who ran the faster time? Well, this is a smaller amount, so when we're talking about a race, then we would say Sal actually ran faster because his time was lower. We want the lower time if we're racing someone. Let's take a look at a couple of these problems. These are similar to the problems you'll do today. You have to, for questions 2 through 5, write either greater than, less than, or equal to in each of these circles. So let's look at the first one. Well, we don't have a whole number, so we can't compare the whole numbers. They're both zeros. So now we have to compare just the decimal. So again, think of money. Do you want 70 cents in your pocket or 57. 70 is greater. You probably want 70. Let's look at number 3. Can't compare the whole numbers because they're both zeros, so we're comparing the decimals. 41 hundredths or 14 hundredths, meaning 41 pennies in your pocket or 14. 41 is obviously going to be greater. Let's look at number 4. Now, I notice right here, it's kind of like you have 6 whole dollars versus 7 whole dollars. So which one is more? Obviously, 7 and 31 hundredths, because 7 is greater than 6. Let's look at the last one. This one's pretty tricky, guys. 1 and 1. So we can't compare the whole numbers. Those are the same. Now look closely at these decimals. This is 1/10, and this looks like one, you might say hundredth, because there's 2 decimal point. There are 2 places, rather, after the decimal point. However, think again. There's still a 1 in the 10th place and a 1 in the 10th place, right? If we think of money, if we have just 1 here, that's actually the same as if I were to like pencil in a 0 here. So these 2 numbers are equal. You guys are going to solve problems 6 through 22. We will meet at 2 o'clock. You do have an exit ticket question, and we'll go over any questions that you may have from this work.